Yeah, trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center, hit it dead center. Bullseye, hit it the most, is no misses. Something like fish in a barrel, it's no different. Blindfold on me, I still got the most vision. Trendsetter.
Welcome, guys, to episode number 4 of the Carnivore Evolution podcast, a podcast dedicated to help you on your health and fitness journey. Today's guest is Vida. Vida is going to talk to us about her experience going through herpes and how she was able to manage it and control it using an animal-based diet. And just before we start, neither of us claim to be health experts, but we're also going to talk about how our experiences with this way, and we're also going to talk about how we've actually seen people again reverse this and how we actually manage this using an animal-based diet. So before we get started, Vida, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm very, very well. So before we talk everything about herpes, give me a little bit of background about you and how you actually got into this in the first place.
Okay, I'm originally from Minnesota, and I'm half Greek, so I moved to Greece when I was about 26, and have lived here on this tiny little Greek island since then. I got into this speaking out about the herpes virus because I have suffered with 4 different types of the herpes virus, and there are 8 in total, so I've got half of them. And I have decided to step out because nobody talks about this. It is riddled with shame, riddled with isolation. People who have bad outbreaks like I did, you become isolated, pushed aside, and looked upon as if there's something terribly wrong with you. So I have decided to speak out.
And what's the research at the moment when we look at herpes? Like what's the protocol? What should people be doing, and what's going on in the world now? Like how are people actually approaching it now at the moment?
Okay, how people are approaching it is actually quite sad because that's the way that I approached it. You are stigmatized, especially with genital herpes, stigmatized. And when there is that kind of heavy negative energy upon you, the first thing that people normally do is blame. They start blaming other people, pointing the finger at other people. And I'm not saying that other people won't give you a herpes virus, because that is how it is passed from one to the other. Any, kind of, not all of the herpes viruses, from what I understand, but certainly cold sores you're going to get from your parents, your friends, from anybody. You can't.
Cold weather as well, yeah. Cool.
Those little cold, fever blisters that I didn't even know they were herpes. Everybody else had them, so big deal, right? But genital herpes, which is passed through sexual contact, that is the big stigma one where everybody gets all freaked out, right? The third type of herpes virus is the varicella zosters virus, which is, you get from chicken pox. If most kids back in my day, now there's a vaccine, but back in my day, we all had chicken pox. And so that comes out again in your older years as zosters, herpes zoster. Then you have the Epstein-Barr, which comes from mononucleosis, which is another thing that most people have had. So it depends on the type of herpes that people are suffering from, what kind of output or input you're going to get from society, from people, from your family. the most stigmatized is, of course, genital herpes. It is considered a sexually transmitted infection. And yes, it is. But you can't really blame even, and the reason for this is that most people don't even know that they have this virus, and they're passing it on because they never got an outbreak. They never had something that was like, oh my gosh, I've got some kind of outbreak here. Let's go check it out. Most people, or many people, may have something that they think is an ingrown hair and just a little annoyance. They don't get sick. They don't have the flu-like symptoms, just this little ingrown hair somewhere in their pubic area. And that's all they think it is. Nobody thinks about it.
Wow.
And they can be passing it on. So, depending on then your state of health, how strong your immune system is, if you are metabolically healthy or not, when your immunity diminishes because you're sick, because you have high stress over something, then the virus has a chance to come out onto your skin, into your, either on your face, your neck, your body, your genitals, your fingers. It can come out anywhere, and so, yeah, it really does depend on the type of virus that you have. If you have like just a cold sore, who cares? Nobody thinks anything about it. You don't even think that you're passing it on to other people. And the sad part about that is that, you can pass on HSV1, cold sores, through sexual contact, through oral sex specifically, and, pass it on to the genitalia. And people don't know this. So my perspective, because it is huge, this is huge, how easily it passes on, that people don't know that they have it. My perspective is, okay, I have these 4 different types of herpes that I know of, and I cannot blame anybody because I honestly don't know who gave them to me.
Yeah.
My parents, right, for, cold sores, but genital herpes, how can I possibly know? How can I really know? I can blame somebody, but did they, in fact, give it to me? And then the next question that I have on top of that is, so this person maybe did give me genital herpes. They gave it to me, right? What's the point of me becoming angry, of blaming people, of being upset and pointing the finger at other people, when what I really need to do is deal with this virus that I am carrying now, deal with my own feelings of self-worth, because so many people lose their sense of dignity, their sense of self-respect, as if they have done something terribly wrong. And that's what I'm trying to eradicate, the shame.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say. I say a lot of people that will be in that situation where they're going to lose their identity. They're losing themselves. They don't know where to go from there.
That's exactly right. They don't know, and they are isolated because you don't hear people talking about it. And when you do hear people talking about herpes, if you say the word herpes, immediately you get some kind of sense of rejection from the people around you. They are blaming you. You are blaming them. Everybody's blaming everybody. And, my experience of having these really, really bad outbreaks, and I had really bad ones. Thank God my family was very loving and accepting and did not do the blame thing. However, the difference between the United States and Greece. In Greece, when I came here, back when I was in my 20s, I had a cold sore. I would get cold sores all the time. And my mother-in-law said, "Oh, is that a herpes outbreak?" And I'm like, "Herpes? Are you kidding? No." It's a cold sore.
Yeah.
And so, my American mind, because that's what we've been taught there, these are cold sores and it's no big deal. Here in Greece, they're like, "No, that's herpes. What are you talking about? That's herpes." They call them herpes. This is herpes. You get herpes zoster on your body, genital herpes. It's all herpes. So it was my first introduction to that sense of shame, right? And here in Greece, it's not as bad as it is in the States. In the States, it's bad. I'm assuming in your area as well, people are not just openly talking about it. "Hey, I got herpes. How about you?" It's not something that people do.
Yeah. And how did you find that, okay, I need to do something about this? This is not just probably a genetic condition. There's something I need to probably address myself here. How did you find out the diagnosis, or how did you actually get to the bottom of it?
Let me do a little bit of a backstory on this. I had always gotten cold sores, HSV1, herpes simplex virus, number 1. Always had them as a kid, as everybody else did as well. But when I was 34, I had a really intense outbreak, whereas my lower lip filled up and swelled up so badly that when I would lay down at night, it would actually touch underneath my nose. My lower lip was swollen so bad, yeah. And that was from a stress response. I was going in for a laparoscopy at the time and terrified, right, of, I don't like hospitals generally. But it wasn't the first time that I was in a hospital, but this time I had this huge thing and I couldn't actually I had to cancel the procedure. That was my first taste of, oh boy, what is this? It wasn't just a cold sore anymore. It was maybe 100 cold sores on my lower lip. And then about 10 years later, I also went in for to get a mole removed to be biopsied to see if it was cancer or not. And the 2 weeks that I had to wait for the diagnosis was when this thing really took hold of my life. And I had full from nose to chin, the entire area. My face swelled up, unbelievably so. I mean, I would look at myself and not recognize myself at all. So I had this big, huge outbreak starting in July when I went and had this biopsy done. And for 8 months, I had a continual full face outbreak. And maybe I was okay for 2 days at the most, where I was normal, and then it would happen again. And during these 8 months, it was exhausting, but I tried everything. Of course, first starting with the conventional antivirals and creams that are specifically for HSV1. Nothing happened. nothing happened. The outbreaks continued. They were intense. I don't know why they were so bad. It couldn't have been from that much stress. And so I began to search alternative medicines, homeopathy, herbal creams, and this and that and the other thing. I tried everything. And I was locked in the house for those 8 months. Couldn't go anywhere. If anybody has had a single cold sore, they know how uncomfortable it is. And imagine your entire mouth area, the whole oral area, inside and out, filled with these wounds, these blisters, these. It was awful. But it was during that time when I had tried everything, and I ran across a vegan doctor who took 10 people and did put them on the vegan diet, a raw vegan diet, and healed them. Not all of them, but out of the 10, I think 7 or 8 of them got better from, I think it was diabetes. I can't remember specifically, which had nothing to do with herpes. But I ran across it online, and I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. Nothing is helping me. Maybe if I try this raw vegan thing, I will stop these outbreaks. And I have to say that it was very helpful for the first 6 months. The outbreaks stopped, so something was happening, and it was I was 100% full on. Everybody has to be raw vegan because look what happened, right? But then eventually, I wasn't able to keep it up. It's a very, very difficult, for me, it was very difficult lifestyle. It's hard to keep up a live kitchen where you're always sprouting and dehydrating and creating. You have to eat like 5 times a day. It was difficult. And I was raising my kids, and I had to cook regular food for the family. So it was too much. I think if I were alone, maybe I would have lasted longer.
And when you were doing the vegan diet, were you deficient in any minerals or vitamins or anything like that? Because I've heard this story in the past from people that when they had the skin issues and they went vegan, that the one thing they were lacking like a vitamin, like a B12, because they were noticing like exhaustion. They were noticing that things weren't working as well as they normally should, digestive issues, things like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Not in the beginning, though. I had only really been raw vegan for 6 months, and then I went vegan because I needed to eat something. And I was good for a few years. I was still getting outbreaks. The outbreaks didn't stop. And they were now moving down to on my neck. I was getting herpes zoster outbreaks, genital herpes outbreaks, which I never had before, and herpetic whitlow, which you get on your fingers and on your toes. And I had gotten those before as a kid, but I just never knew they were herpes. And so what happened was, because I was really sold on the idea of veganism, really sold on it, because I was pretty sure that meat was the reason why I was getting outbreaks. But then I went vegan and I wasn't eating any meat, and I was still getting outbreaks, and they were getting worse and worse and worse. So to answer your question, some years went by before I started to have other problems. And the main other issue that I had was when the sun came out here in the summertime and it was getting warmer, my blood pressure would drop to levels that nearly caused fainting. I didn't actually faint, but I had to be lying down on a couch on the bed with a fan on me and the air conditioning. And I lived like that for many years during the summers here in Greece and I just thought that was, I'm getting older, getting to 50. And then, so it must be that getting older thing. Mm. In 2017, we went to Savannah, Georgia. I brought my girls there. I wanted to give them the experience of living in the States. And when summer came along, I was really worried because I don't last in the heat. How was I going to last in Savannah, Georgia, which is very humid and very hot, worse than Greece, right? Here we have a dry heat, but it's not as hot as it is in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And I was afraid. So I went to a health food store and told the owner there, great guy, and he said, you're vegan, huh? And I said, yeah. And he's like, well, you probably need vitamin B12. And I was like, vitamin B12? Aren't I getting that from my spinach? Right? And he said, you're probably lacking in vitamin B12. So what I did, he gave me a little bottle and I thought, well, I have to take it. And I took it, and in 3 days, I was fine. In 3 days, I was fine. I lasted the entire summer in Savannah, Georgia, without any feeling of fainting, of needing to be in the air conditioning. I could go outside in the intense heat in the afternoons. And that was my first, I think I need to rethink this vegan diet thing, that maybe it's just not working. So, so then I moved into a pescatarian diet and added cheese and eggs and fish, and didn't need those little drops as much anymore. I was getting better, but I was still getting outbreaks. Yeah. All the time. We moved back to Greece, and I had tried then pretty much all the different diets out there, from the standard American diet to the Mediterranean diet, then raw vegan, then vegetarian, then pescatarian. I mean, what else was there to do? I was taking the amino acid L-lysine, which people who suffer from herpes know about. It's very, very helpful. And where do you find lysine? Yeah. In animal foods, right?
That's what I was gonna say. Like, it's like, okay, where you're getting everything you need in a carnivore-based diet. So we were all brought up with this myth, we have to have vegetables. Our doctors told us that we can't live without vegetables.
That's like, ridiculous.
I've always said to people, if you need to be healthy and buy supplements and buy medication, there's something seriously wrong.
There's something seriously wrong. You do not need to buy medications. You do not. You should not have to. Go to a doctor, have them tell you, measure your calories to your proteins, to your fats, to your whatever. I mean, nourishing our bodies is as easy as breathing. We don't think about breathing, do we? We just breathe. We know how to do it. We know how much air we need. We seem to be doing just fine. Why do we think that nutrition is such a difficult, complicated subject when it's not? And, just look back to how we got here and what we were eating and follow that, because we don't need to think about it. And that was one of the biggest joys of coming across carnivore. But I was in one of those full body outbreaks, devastated. This was in March of 2021. And I was looking at, there's a herpes diet, right? A herpes diet specifically for herpes that, if you have outbreaks, you eat foods that are, yes, high in lysine and low in arginine. And, it was basically a ketogenic diet. So I started looking into that and searching it out. I'm alone here on this tiny little Greek island, know. And I think
Greek islands are known for their vegetables and plants, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't imagine that plants would be bad. I mean, come on. But I ran across Dr. Paul Saladino on YouTube, and I was like, carnivore? Carnivore? What the heck is that? What, just eating meat? Are these people insane?
Yeah.
But here I am with this full outbreak, suffering with no way out. I had tried all the antivirals. I mean, I had tried everything possible out there, trust me. And I was like, well, I'll do it for a month. Kind of the same idea when I came to the raw vegan. I'll do it for a month and see what happens. And I contacted Dr. Paul Saladino's people. I mean, I sent an email and said, this is my problem. I don't know what to do. His book had just come out, and he had a group that was taking care of the emails and answering and coaching people. And somebody responded and said, listen, definitely try the carnivore diet. We do the animal-based diet, so you can have low glycemic fruits and things like that. And he says, but for your situation, don't eat anything but meat. Go strict carnivore. And I thought, okay, I'll try that. Thinking, honestly, that in a month I'd be dead. High fat.
High fat.
And I was 56 at the time. So I was like, this, I don't know, probably not a good idea. But, I would rather try it out, risk the horrid possibilities that were in my mind, than continue with these outbreaks. And I was getting them 8 times a year. So 8 months out of the year, I was in the house, just isolated. So I had a pork chop one night, the first night. I was up at my mother's house. She didn't have anything else. I didn't know about, the importance of ruminant animals over pork. I learned that later, but it didn't matter. I had one pork chop. Went to bed. I thought for sure I was going to have stomach problems, for sure. It was just going to be bad. Well, I slept like a babe, and woke up the next morning. And my first thought was, I have all this energy. I'm going to go running. And I don't like to run. That's not my thing, right? I'm a yoga person, right? Give me the mellow, let's meditate kind of thing. And I was like, all this energy. And I did. I got up and went for a run. Wasn't, an impressive run. But the impressive thing was that I had all this energy, and where did it come from?
And was this all within a week?
This was in one night.
Wow.
This was the first night. I ate the night before, I woke up the next day, and I was like,
Yeah.
So obviously, I was deficient in many, many, many vitamins, minerals, just deficient. And the vegan diet brought me to that position. And I was not eating any kind of packaged things. Here on this little Greek island, all you can do is make your own things. And so I got my fruits and vegetables. I prepared them. I ate them. But yeah, I had to take a bunch of...
And isn't it amazing when you look at the food pyramids? and you look at the grains, you look at the carbohydrates, you look at the proteins, and you see the fats at the very, very bottom. And it's like wow, for years and years and years, we were brainwashed into this rubbish. We don't realize
Brainwashed.
that we actually don't realize that the top part of the food pyramid was actually doing the damage.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. It's really sad. And not only sad, but if you really wanted to look at it, it's a crime. It's a crime.
It is. And
Hundreds.
when you were going through all this, did you feel like, okay, I need to go back to the doctors now and I need to have a word with them and say, listen, I'm able to do this myself now. I'm able to heal my situation. Like, are you going to give me some answers here, or what's going to go on?
I did not feel that because the people that I went to 3 conventional doctors, sexually transmitted diseases, infections type, people who are, who know about that kind of thing, skin doctors, right? And every single one of them said, you got herpes. There's nothing you can do. Really, I mean, sorry. And you happen to get them bad, whatever. Take these antivirals, take that. You can put these creams on it. Don't stress out. And I just, each time I thought, there's got to be something. There's got to be something. And
well, see, the problem was they didn't want you to do that. They didn't want you to heal yourself. They were like, okay, if you're able to heal yourself, you're not paying us any more money.
I'm out of a job.
You know what I mean? That's what it was. It's like, okay, we need to make sure that this woman is still paying us every year.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what, Mark? I actually believe too that the doctors out there really believe what they're telling us, that there really is nothing you can do. So come back in 6 months, right? So yeah, they get their paycheck. But they also don't have the alternative. But perhaps if they did have the alternative, they probably wouldn't talk about it very much because, I can't. What if I heal everybody and then what? I'm out of a job. I can't pay my new Tesla, right? My mansion, my, my kids' college, and at whatever universities are going to. It's in the system. It is something that you if you choose to follow it, there may be some benefits that you can get, but I believe from my personal experience that if I'm going to any kind of doctor for whatever reason, I need to also look at what I can do, that I am responsible for my health.
Exactly.
And not this guy or this woman that I'm going to is telling me what to do. They can tell me what to do, and maybe, I'll take the medications, I'll do whatever, but what can I do?
Exactly. Yeah. At the end of the day, like, you've got to find out if I can actually sort this out myself. The power's in your hands. You've got to look at certain situations first, your lifestyle, your diet, all these situations first, and see, can you monitor that? And then you can say, right, okay, if that's all ticked off and everything's going really, really well, then I can probably look at a supplement or a medication. But try and get to the root of the problem first.
Exactly. And that was my experience. Not only did the herpes stop, it took 6 months for them to stop. But then I began to really notice what my body was doing. I began to understand and to develop this beautiful relationship with my own body, which I had never felt before. In my yoga years, when I was teaching and I was very in tune and meditating all the time, I did not feel that type of inner understanding and connection. By going carnivore, people think it's an elimination diet.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not at all an elimination diet. It is the most nutrient dense way of eating, way of nourishing your body. Everything that you eat from an animal, because we are also animals, our bodies know exactly what to do with those nutrients. Nothing goes to waste. Nothing.
Yeah. Your body just absorbs it all up.
Yeah. And the health that I experienced was phenomenal. Totally unexpected. Totally unexpected. That first month of carnivore, I was like, really? How can this be? And people ask me, how can you eat the same thing every day? And I tell them it's really unbelievable, because when you are hungry and you allow yourself to wait until you're hungry, then you're cooking your food, the smell, when you're looking at it, your mouth is watering. And, you know, if I can eat a steak every day, I'll eat a steak every day, or, you know, beef patties, whatever. And when I'm hungry, only when I'm hungry, my mouth is watering. And I'm looking at this food going, oh, I can't wait to eat you. And then I begin eating, and the flavor, I'm eating the same thing every single day. The flavor is phenomenal. My mouth.
I'd say there was a massive difference, like biting into a steak instead of biting into like a ton of vegetables.
Exactly. It's unbelievable what happens. But this can only happen when you get rid of everything else.
Yeah.
And you are focused on not only the nutrition, the foods that you're putting in your body, but how your body is reacting. And what I found, which was phenomenal to me at, 57 years old, finally, that when I'm eating something, a steak, that the taste buds are exploding. It's like fireworks. It's like, this is the best thing ever, every single day. And as I continue eating the steak and I become satiated, the changes that happen in my taste buds is crazy, because the food tastes good, but I'm not excited anymore. And then when I'm fully satiated, it's like, okay. Yeah. And my body is telling me, I don't have to think about it. I don't have to go measure out all the calories and the this and the that and the other thing and do this whole thing. My body, my taste buds are telling me, you're done. You got it. It's stop. You don't need any more. And then I stop. I sleep like a babe. I go, I intermittent fast, not because I want to or that I put my mind to it. I just do it until I'm hungry.
And isn't it amazing feeling there? Because I used to be the same. Like, I used to be like one of those people that would have to eat like 8 times a day because I was constantly hungry. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to control this, But it's such a great feeling now that you can just probably eat once or twice a day. And you're like, you know what? I'm good. No problems whatsoever. I don't need to track anything. I don't need to count anything. It's just like, I'm eating the way I should be eating. And that's it.
And what really surprised me about that again is that only when you get rid of all the extra crap, right?
All that. And and I think this is one thing that people need to understand when they choose this lifestyle, is that if you're choosing this lifestyle, you've got to heal first. You've got to look at your condition, depending on what you're going through at the moment, but whether it's eczema, whether it's herpes, whether it's any kind of skin condition, you've got to allow your body just to heal first, and then everything else will just get so much easier.
Hey, Mark, that is probably the most important thing that has been said in this podcast time. You must do that. And people come to me and they're like, I can't just eat meat. I can't just eat meat. It's like, okay. I'm not a dogmatic type person. So I think that okay, maybe you're going to be a ketogenic type person, right? I mean, that's fine. But when you're starting out and you want to heal any kind of condition that you're going through, go carnivore, and a pretty strict carnivore depending on where you're at. And each of us knows what that means. So if I'm, for example, when I was first starting out and I was eating dairy. So I loved my yogurt, so I would eat yogurt. Yogurt didn't sit with me well for some reason. And so because I was not eating a bunch of other things, I knew that when I ate yogurt, I didn't sleep as well. I wasn't quite as, I had quite the clarity. And yogurt is an animal product. It's dairy. But dairy didn't really work. The only thing I can really do with dairy is butter and heavy cream, which I do use in my morning coffee. And I love it. But I can handle it. It doesn't bother me. And if it did, the coffee would be the next thing out the window, along with the heavy cream. But now, because I am so, quote unquote, minimal, just by eating carnivore, I know when something is bothering me, and I know what I need to do. If I'm, I mean, the markers will happen in a day. I mean, it'll happen that night when I go to bed and I don't sleep as well. And so it's gone. And then everything comes back into play. It's sad that we have been so indoctrinated by those people up there, big pharma, the medical industry, not specifically doctors who actually really do want to help people, but the medical industry that would really love to have us sick all the time and keep buying all the medications and keep paying into that system. It's sad that we cannot.
Honestly, it's the one thing that makes me really, really angry, like really, really angry.
Yeah. It is probably as destructive as any war out there.
Because like I mentioned at the start of the podcast, like none of us claim to be medical experts, but I've had these conversations with doctors in the past, and I was like, listen, why can't people not do this themselves? Why can't people not look after themselves through a proper diet? Why do you have to feed these people crap? Why did they have to eat like processed food? You can see it when people go into hospitals. You can see the food, the junk they've been fed. You can see that they're being put on medication every 2 hours. Why is this protocol been pushed onto people?
Yeah,
that's the answer. They're the questions I want answered. And when you try and ask these questions, you don't get the right answers back, because they look at you and say, right, well, you don't have a PhD, you're not a doctor. Why would I listen to someone like you?
Oh, exactly. I would be curious to hear what their excuses are, but we are definitely lost with the person who has the degree, the label of somebody who knows, and us regular folk who just don't know anything.
Yeah.
And I am fully with you on that, and is also one of the flags that I'm carrying on this carnivore herpes coming out into the world, and just screaming it out to everybody like, hey, you do have control over your health. You have it. It belongs to you. It is your right. Take a look at, step away from what you have learned all these years, what you have been told, and just take a look at it. take a look at yourself, what you're thinking, what you believe, and, maybe just kind of look at some of these other people. And it's not just people like us. We've got great doctors and surgeons and people who have that same label, who are saying, hey, yeah, if you go keto, if you are carnivore, the Lion's diet, you're not going to have any problems. You're going to heal many, if not all, of the things that are bothering you. And not just things like herpes, which isn't going to kill you, but we're talking serious problems, cancers, MS, things that diabetes, heart problems. There's people are healing all over the world. And I think we're on a roll, and I think we're in a position maybe today to begin to break that wrong dynamic that we're all indoctrinated with, that we can begin to
100%, because I've noticed the trends now in the last 3 years. Like, I'm doing this nearly 3 years now, and I can just see the trend going this direction. I'm hearing people on the other side of the world start just coming out with these stories, and they're like, you know what, I started this diet, I reversed my PCOS, I reversed my diabetes, I've healed, my skin conditions are getting better. And I'm like, okay, you can give me all the research you want, you can give me all the data that you want, I'll give you the best research listening to these people.
And yes, since I have recently stepped out and decided that I would be a voice for all these people who are suffering from various different types of these herpes outbreaks, and because of the shame that's around it, I have decided to come forth and say, there is a way. And the more that I have a very small YouTube channel, it's just getting started, and people are coming, and commenting and saying, I had herpes, genital herpes, oral herpes, herpes zoster. One woman that I've been working with and talking with was getting it on her forehead and into her eye, just really bad outbreaks. She went carnivore.
Wow.
And it stopped. Other people have been carnivore for a year, 2 years, after 3 months, and saying, I don't get outbreaks anymore. And I've had carnivores who went carnivore for other reasons say, oh my gosh, yeah, I haven't had a cold sore, herpes, since I went carnivore. And so with that, these beautiful people coming forward and talking to me, it really fuels my my motivation and intention to just keep going out and shouting out into the world that herpes is something that we have always had. Genital herpes, it's 6 out of 10 people is the estimation of people who have genital herpes that they know of. And other types of herpes are, you've got 7 to 9 people out of 10. So pretty much everyone has one form of herpes or another. And it's not a matter of you have this problem, this virus, this infection, this thing that lives in you and is going to come out on you, and you are forever locked in shame. It's more like, well, okay, since this herpes virus has been with us since we were chimpanzees and before, because even it's been around for, they estimate, at least 200 million years.
Yeah.
It's been around for a while, and
time.
it passes through the primates, right? And then it passed on to us humans at the time, and we've got it today, and it's not going anywhere.
No.
And so why even get on the blame game? Why even bother with it? Why not just find your solution? And your solution, if we are nourishing what we are supposed to be eating, if we're nourishing ourselves with a proper human diet, as Dr. Kim Berry says, right, which is a carnivore diet, or at the very least a ketovore, because yes, our bodies are designed to metabolize, either ketones or carbohydrates. The two don't go well together. We have been on the carbohydrate roller coaster for years, but I think the carbohydrate part is just that system is there for maybe starvation purposes when we're not able to find an animal to eat, so we don't die of starvation. We can eat carbohydrates just fine, but we thrive eating a carnivore diet, working with the ketones, with fats. So I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm coming from today, and I continue to shout out into the world that this is not something to be ashamed of, that those out there who are isolated and alone, I'm here. I'm your voice, and I want to break this stigma and get rid of it, because it's unnecessary, and it's just something that was put into place by, the culture, societies worldwide. It's not something to be ashamed of.
No, I absolutely love that. And the one thing we need to keep on doing is just spreading the message.
Yes.
So if someone's listening right now and they're saying, like, listen, this carnivore diet, it just sounds like rubbish to me, how would you convince someone just to try it?
I have had people who actually said, "You're crazy. This is insane," right? Nobody out there would actually support this. And I'm thinking, and I tell them, I said, okay, you have your right to what you believe. When I started, that is exactly what I believed, that these people were crazy. But I was in a position where I had tried everything else and nothing had worked. And I said, and I tell them that if you're up to it, because you can't make anybody take the decision, but when people know that they have somebody that's going to stand with them as they go through it, or get in a group of people, find people who they can maybe all do it together and try it out and see what happens. It's only through your own personal experience of trying this carnivore, ketovore. If you absolutely can't do it, right, fine, start there, and see the differences. Really experience.
I just think for most people, they just can't see past of not having too much on their plate. I think the big issue with people is they have to have the vegetables, they have to have the carbohydrates, they have to have the protein. We were all brought up that when it comes to our plate, we should have all these different...
The food pyramid.
Yeah, all these different... Nobody's ever going to look at a plate and say, that's just a piece of steak. Is that all I have to eat? You know what I mean? Because that was the one thing, that was the one thing I couldn't get past. I was like, okay, I've got a plate and I've just got a steak on it. Is that all I'm having? And I was like, oh, this is not going to fill me up. I need to eat a lot more than this. So that was the one thing I struggled with, massively at the very, very beginning. I just could not get past. Okay, no, I need to eat more here.
Yeah. I can't say that I had that problem. I think because I was so exhausted. This may be the reason why somebody who is fully against the carnivore diet may actually give it a try, is when they are completely fed up, they have tried everything else, and there's really nothing else that they can do. They can either just listen to the doctors and what they're telling them to do.
That's what I'm going to say. It's either like, okay, are we going to go down the medication route, or do you want to just try this? Just try this diet and let's see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. And sadly, a lot of them just go down the medication route because that's
Yeah.
what they believe. And sadly, uh, nobody is able to change their minds unless they come to a place of, okay, this is where I'm at. I'll try it for a month and see what happens. Uh, that's difficult, especially when you're looking at people who you love, members of your family, your friends, and you see that they have these problems that are fixable. They're fixable and very quickly fixable. Um, I have people in my sphere. It's like, can't you just try it? And they're like, that's going to kill me. All the cholesterol and all that fat. Are you crazy?
I'll give you another story. I took on a client there about 2 months ago, and this one was battling with depression. She had massive mental health issues, battling with anxiety for years. This woman was taking antidepressants for 12 years. 12 years. I got a message off her last week that her dose has been reduced because she said that she told her doctor that she doesn't need it anymore. After 12 years.
Goodness.
After 12
Wow.
years, she told her doctor that I don't need that much medication anymore.
Wow. One of the things, I understand that because I also suffered from kind of that yo-yo emotional roller coaster throughout my entire life, thinking that it's just who I am, it's this and that, whatever. And I thought that would stable out when I hit menopause and I wasn't going through my cycle, because yes, your hormones are changing, and it does affect you emotionally, right? So I hit menopause, I'm menopausal, I no longer have a cycle, and I'm still yo-yoing up and down, getting upset about things that I can't even imagine why I got upset about them now. I went carnivore, and my emotional state it's just smooth and without interruptions. And even when it's a bad day and bad things are happening in my life, I'm not affected by it. I don't get turned upside down. It's like, okay, this is happening. All right, we're going to find a way to deal with it, and I move on. If I get personally upset about something, I can get a little emotional, but it's like very briefly and without turning myself up. I don't get knocked over. And people think that, oh, I'm an emotional type, or oh, I have ADHD, or I have I'm bipolar or whatever. And I question that. I really do, because that just may be a high carbohydrate, sugar rich diet that's creating this imbalance in your mental emotional stability.
And it's very, very clear to see, because that's what's going on in the world right now. There's a lot of people now that are suffering big time, and everybody's just blaming it on, like, it could, now don't get me wrong, it could be lifestyle, it could be family, it could be a job, but I firmly believe it's all down to what you put into your body.
Don't you think that is the most important part of our existence, is what are we putting in our body? Because of what you're eating is how you present yourself to the world.
Yeah.
Are you going to be steady without these fluctuations and being knocked off and knocked down all the time? Are you going to be clear-headed without the brain fog, without the confusion, without the depressions, without... That should be our number one lesson that we learn as a child.
Absolutely.
What are you putting in your mouth?
And
we wouldn't...
that's the one thing we're doing, because when you look at what we're doing to our kids, the minute they're born, we're drugging them straight away.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Straight away, well, like the minute they're born.
It's a crime. I really honestly consider it a crime. And I think as this moves forward, because there's no stopping these hundreds of thousands of people who have healed from all sorts of chronic and things like herpes that they say you can never heal yourself from. You'll always get them. You know, the more we stand out and speak out and step out into the world, more people will come and they'll say, hey, well, maybe this isn't one of those fad diets, one of those crazy things that these people are doing, but it is in fact the oldest diet ever. The conventional standard American diet is more of a fad diet because that's what they decided to feed us, 100 years ago. And they just, because they had the money, they got in there and let's all eat margarine.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think the more we step out and speak out, your podcast, your TikTok that I've been in contact with, speaking out to the world, well, the more people will begin to think about it and accept, just like everybody has accepted the vegan diet. You go into restaurants all over the world and you have your vegan choices.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's start right now. So where can people go to find you? Because we need to get this message out every single day.
My online name is Vida Goes Carnivore. So you can find me on TikTok. I am also on Instagram and Facebook. Now I have come forth on Facebook, but Facebook is Vida Evenson, and I have a special private group there called Got Herpes, Eat Meat. So you can go there and come in, and it is a place where we can get together and work through starting a carnivore diet, seeing how that is working for you. People there are supporting others because we've got people who went carnivore and healed themselves from herpes outbreaks. They just don't get them anymore, along with all the other things. And I have a growing YouTube channel, Vida Goes Carnivore, as well. So that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, well, I'm going to put all those links down below, and guys, I would highly recommend you check out these videos because I've only spoken to Vida now in the last couple of days, but I see that she's doing amazing work, absolutely incredible work for people that are going through these issues. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend you guys go and have a look at it. Well, Vida, we've come to the end. I can't believe it's nearly over an hour already. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and we'll definitely have to do a follow-up one in the future.
I would love that. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for helping me get the message out.
Amazing. We'll speak very, very soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, that's it.
Oh, that was great.
Very, very well. So I'm hoping now that this a lot of people, because that's the main thing I want to do is show people, okay,
Just Yeah. Take control of your health. Take control of yourself. My gosh, we just allow ourselves to dangle in the hands of other people who are, that's fine. Some of them may be trying to help you, but come on, right? You're not doing anything yourself. What is it with these people? It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, but you know what? Your the TikTok that I've been watching of yours is you're always very, very. I'm impressed. Like I like the hard truth of what you're saying. And you know, it's like wake up, slap in the face, right? Boom, 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 wake up. Hello. And I like that. I like that. And you know, you are reaching people. And the only thing we can do is just keep doing it, right? Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. 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 I hear you there. That's exactly what I'm thinking. So, yeah, at least we're on the same page with that. So, yeah, I think so. I do. I think so too. I think so too. Hey, listen, let me ask you a question. Um, what do you need exactly to start a podcast? I'd kind of like to do the same and kind of start a podcast. Riverside. This is Riverside. Okay. Yeah, you know, I woke up this morning. I got another invite to another podcast for somebody with carnivore with metabolic health. So I'm really excited about that. I really appreciate you asking me to come on. It's really important. It's really important. Um, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Great. So, will you do me a favor? Because I'm not really a tech savvy person. When this goes live and everything, kind of let me know where it is with a link or something that I can like push out to my growing my growing following here on. Yeah, audio's yeah, audio's perfect. Who needs video? You know? Yeah, I'm fine with that. And besides, I mean, besides, Mark, a podcast is for audio. It really isn't. I mean, why do you have to sit and look at me, right? Audio is you put in your headphones and you're going for a walk and you're listening to a podcast, right? Yeah, I'm with you there. It was great. It's great meeting you. I'm so excited. I'm really happy. And it's nice to have an ally. I need an ally. I really do. I need people behind me on this and the support when I feel like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? All right, sweetie. All right, great, honey. Good. All right, honey. All right then. We'll take care, and I'll see you soon. Okay. Bye. The link or something that I can like push out to my growing following here on. Yeah. Audio's yeah, audio's perfect. Who needs video? You know? Yeah, I'm fine with that. And besides, I mean, besides, Mark, a podcast is for audio. It really isn't. I mean, why do you have to sit and look at me, right? Audio is you put in your headphones and you're going for a walk and you're listening to a podcast, right? Yeah, I'm with you there. It was great. It's great meeting you. I'm so excited. I'm really happy. And it's nice to have an ally. I need an ally. I really do. I need people behind me on this and the support when I feel like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing?
No, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll definitely do it again.
All right, sweetie. All right, great, honey. Good. All right, honey. All right then. We'll take care, and I'll see you soon. Okay. Bye.
Yeah, trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center, hit it dead center. Bullseye, hit it the most, is no misses. Something like fish in a barrel, it's no different. Blindfold on me, I still got the most vision.